Hey everybody, welcome to the second episode of this Kevin's Review Show channel, where tonight we're going to be looking at Night of Champions 2015. Before we get started, I just want to give a huge quick shout out to the wrestling community on Reddit, r²Circle. You guys gave me a ton of fantastic feedback and I really appreciate it. You guys are my favorite wrestling community on the internet. Also, another big, huge, quick shout out to ProWrestlingStories.com for not only the theme song, but a ton of feedback and plugging the first episode. I really appreciate it, man. So our first match on the card is the kickoff show, Stardust and the Ascension, calling themselves the Cosmic Wasteland, versus Neville and the Lucha Dragons. I really enjoy the concept behind the Cosmic Wasteland, but I just don't see a motivation behind it. I think just something as simple as giving them a solid color scheme together would really help bring them together and feel like they're an actual team. I really like Stardust, and I really liked the Ascension during their NXT run, but on the main roster, they're just kind of like, I think it's because they're booked as these big, strong, physically overpowering guys, when really, they're not that big in comparison. I think they would work better if they were just kind of big, strong guys, but kind of dumb and slow. And Stardust was like, hey guys, I see a lot of potential in you. Come be weird with me. And they're like, yeah, okay. I love Neville and I absolutely adore the Lucha Dragons. Not a huge fan of Sin Cara. I think he's one of those guys that's too big to be a high flyer, but too small to be like a powerhouse guy. I think he's stuck in Lucha Limbo. #Lucha Limbo. The match itself was okay, kind of predictable. A few high spots were when the Cosmic Wasteland are outside, the Lucha Dragons do like a top rope over the top dive, and Neville does like a moonsault splash from the second rope onto Stardust in tandem. Pretty sweet spot. Most of the match was just Kalisto getting beat up for a while before Neville gets the hot tag, runs wild for a bit, and when he goes for the red arrow, Stardust pushes one of the Ascension members into him. He falls. Stardust hits his finisher for the win. Pretty smart booking. Like, they can't just keep giving Stardust losses, so he's got to win occasionally. But I think we just need more understanding of why they're together. So the first match on the actual card of the show is Kevin Owens versus Ryback for the Intercontinental Championship. Speaking of understanding motivation, the build to this match is incredibly simple. Kevin Owens wants the Intercontinental Championship, and Ryback has it. Kevin Owens spent the month up to this making fun of Ryback and his love of these like self-help books, so it's understandable that Ryback wants to kick his ass. Real simple wrestling booking. It's fantastic. Not a huge fan of Ryback, but Kevin Owens is bae. #Owens is bae. I really like the contrast between Ryback being one of these WWE born and raised guy, while Kevin is a, quote, indie darling. And while I enjoyed the match, it was a bit lackluster. The start of the show is pretty smart when Kevin Owens and Ryback try to lock up. Ryback is obviously way overpowering him and just tossing him around, including lifting Kevin Owens up and over his head and tossing him to the outside. Pretty sweet. Owens then proceeds to work on Ryback's right arm and shoulder pretty much throughout the entire match, which is smart because he's taking away the power of the big guy. But unfortunately, that was pretty much the match. Owens works on the arm for a while before Ryback comes back, gets a few clotheslines in, rinse and repeat. So the end sequence is Ryback finally getting on offense, putting Kevin Owens in the shell shock. Kevin Owens reaches down and rakes the eyes of Ryback, rolls him up and gets the 3 count, and the Intercontinental Championship. Fuck yeah! Obviously, I'm super psyched Kevin Owens won, but there really weren't any big spots in this match. No senton bombs, no corner cannonballs, no package piledriver teases, no pop-up power bombs. Just one of those really well wearing down of opponent executed matches. But it was just like kind of dry. We've seen Kevin Owens put on a lot better matches against John Cena, Cesaro, but I'm really looking forward to his title reign. Next up is Dolph Ziggler versus Rusev with Summer Rae. There's no doubt that both of these guys are absolutely really fantastic performers, but they're just in a god-awful storyline. It's been pretty bad up until this point, but I think it could kind of pay off if we see something crazy like a Dolph Ziggler heel turn where every time Rusev gets a new lady, he covets her, has sex with her, and takes her away. And we see it happen like 8 times. That would make it worth it. We also see Ziggler in pants, and he's clearly stopped bleaching his hair. I think he looks great. But also on his pants, there's just a giant picture of Lana. That's just like a fact. It's weird. And it sucks that Lana's gone, because she was kind of the focal point of this feud. We still get all of the "We want Lana" chants, which are reminiscent of those glorious 2 weeks where Lana was actually like a well-written and strong female character. Ah, those were the days. There were a few good spots, but it's everything we've seen before. The match isn't the culmination of a feud. We're still going to get a bunch of matches after this. It's very much a, well, there's a pay-per-view coming up. I think Dolph Ziggler and Rusev are still feuding. Yeah, throw them in it. The only really notable point of this match was the finish, where Summer Rae starts freaking out and gets thrown out by the ref. It distracts Rusev from the match. Summer Rae starts throwing her shoes. One of the shoes is meant for the ref, hits Rusev instead. Ziggler hits the zigzag for the win. Next up on the card is New Day versus the Dudley Boyz for the Tag Team Championship. New Day is the best thing WWE has going for it, and it's not even close. There was something else I wanted to talk about. What was it? Oh yeah, the fucking Dudley Boyz are back. How awesome is that? Also, there are entire wrestlers and feuds I have enjoyed less than just Xavier Woods playing trombone. This being the first match in what is clearly a feud for the next few months, it was okay. There weren't a ton of big spots. There was no "what up?" And I never noticed it before, but apparently 80% of Devon's offense is just running shoulder tackles. The match ends when Kofi takes a 3D, but the pin is broken up by Xavier Woods. DQ. New Day are so entertaining, you kind of forget they're bad guys, so when they call for the tables, you're like, you fucking hypocrites. They set up the tables to put one of the Dudley Boyz through, but Xavier Woods ends up taking the 3D. I would really like to see a rematch where it's a 3-on-3 tag team. New Day versus the Dudley Boyz and a returning Spike would be cool. Maybe Damian Sandow Dudley? Who knows? Next up on the show is Charlotte versus Nikki Bella for the Divas Championship. I'm pretty sure the WWE higher-ups went, "Hey, fuck CM Punk. What's the first pay-per-view after Nikki Bella breaks his girlfriend's record? Is it Night of Champions? Great, she'll hold it till then." And sure enough, Nikki does break AJ Lee's record. And it is impressive in length, and Nikki is definitely getting better in the ring, but it's just been kind of a boring title reign. There have been no big moments. And how many pay-per-views have we seen where she wrestles but doesn't defend the belt? It's just not interesting. Also, just like the Kevin Owens Ryback match, most of it is Nikki working on Charlotte's knee. Until Charlotte goes on the offense for 2 moves, repeat. It was kind of a boring match, but sometimes that's a good thing. Like in football. You know, some games are 77-55, and that's super fun and exciting. But sometimes you just want like a really dirty, gritty defensive game that's like 10-7. This was a 10-7 match. Like I said, Nikki just continues to work Charlotte's legs and knees, including the super dangerous looking suplexes where her legs land between the ropes. It's just like a WWE video game. Nikki giving Charlotte a figure 4 on the outside with the ring post between them is also a pretty good spot. Nikki just continues to work her knee before Charlotte hits a spear out of nowhere. She locks in the figure 8 despite the commentators selling that she can't do it without her hurt knee. But Nikki taps and Charlotte gets her first Divas Championship. Team PCB celebrate in the ring with Ric Flair, and it's always nice to see drunk Ric Flair. I was fully expecting Paige to do a heel turn. Something about her body language the entire show was just off. She wasn't making eye contact. She just looked bored and uninterested in the match. It was weird. Next match is the Wyatt family versus Dean Ambrose, Roman Reigns, and a mystery partner. It's Chris Jericho. I don't mind Chris Jericho. It's a nice pop for the older fans, and he's still good in the ring. But if you're watching it with some newer fans, like I was, they're like, I don't care. I don't know who this is. And then I look like an asshole explaining, no, he's actually really good. No, you don't get it. Nah. As I said, I was watching this with some newer fans, and they loved Braun Strowman. Especially when he just lifts up Jericho over his head and just tosses him onto Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose. And it was a pretty decent match, despite just seeing all the spots before. I love Wyatt, and don't even really hate Roman Reigns, but both have a very limited moveset. When you put them together, you get kind of boring, predictable matches, especially when they have them constantly. I imagined if you play with Bray Wyatt or Roman Reigns on a video game, you press up circle, it doesn't move. You press right circle, it doesn't move. You press down circle, it doesn't move. And it's all the same move. Harper and Ambrose have a more extended moveset. Strowman's pretty green, and Jericho, although he is the man of 1,004 holds, he always does a certain number of moves every single match. It's just a checklist at this point. Running Bulldog, Lion Salt, Codebreaker, Walls of Jericho. Every match. The end sequence was kind of nice, at least. Strowman takes a Superman punch, doesn't fall down. Takes a second, doesn't fall down. Then takes a huge crossbody elbow thing from Dean Ambrose, spear from Reigns. But then Chris Jericho tags himself in, hits a Lion Salt, and only gets a 2. Strowman then catches Chris Jericho mid-Codebreaker, slams him down, picks him back up, slips on his submission move, and Jericho passes out. That's the end of the match. Everyone comes away looking pretty strong, especially Braun Strowman, which I think was the point of this match, was to push him like a monster. And it's okay that Jericho takes a loss like that, because he's not here every week and he doesn't have to super deal with it. He'll get pops every time he comes back, regardless of his win-loss record recently. The match ends when it looks like Roman and Ambrose are going to forgive Jericho, but he storms off and just is like, meh, I'm leaving, meh. Next up is the first of Seth Rollins' 2 title defenses tonight. John Cena versus Seth Rollins for the United States Championship. And once again, just like Ziggler and Rusev, Wyatt and Reigns, this is a match we've seen many times already. We already kind of know the rhythms to it if you've been paying attention. And they always put on great matches, but I kind of look at it like a song. You hear a song and you go, hey, that's great. And then you hear it again and you go, yeah, I like that. But you keep hearing it over and over and over, and you're just kind of burnt out on it. And yeah, you can go listen to the live version or maybe the Kanye West remix of it, but you're just getting kind of burnt out on the song. I did really like the sequence where Reigns gets caught in the Cena signature animation of the 2 shoulder tackles, miss punch, slam, 5-knuckle shuffle. But after the 2 shoulder tackles, Reigns catches himself, doesn't throw the punch, and hits a neck breaker instead. It's like he watches the show or something. Cena also reverses that powerbomb into the turnbuckle spot into a Hurricane Rana. It's like he watches the show too. And although he hits it a lot, I never get tired of the spot where Rollins hits the giant superplex, rolls him over, and hits another sit-down superplex for a pin. It's pretty impressive. I think the biggest shock of the match is just that Rollins takes the first AA into a clean pin. I think we've gotten so used to people kicking out of the first 1 or 2 AAs that when Rollins didn't kick out of the first one, it was like, holy shit. So after that first match, Rollins says, fuck it, and tries to walk away. Cena stops him, gives him an AA to the outside, and then rolls him into the ring. And now we get our next match, Sting versus Seth Rollins for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. This is Sting's second singles match, and he's already getting a championship match. This kid is going places. The moment the match starts, he hits his Stinger Splash and immediately goes for the sharpshooter. I think he looks pretty great, but every single bump he took, I thought, oh my god, he's 56 years old. Especially the bump where they're both standing on the announce table and Roman Reigns pushes him onto the other one and he falls through it. Once again, Rollins uses the fuck it adjustment and goes to leave, but then realizes, Sting's already down, let me just finish this match. Rollins hits another turnbuckle powerbomb spot, and it looks like it really fucks up Sting. He like crumples immediately and starts squeezing his hands to get circulation back. Pretty brutal. Sting then hits 2 stinger splashes, clotheslines Rollins to the outside, climbs onto the top rope, and dives to the outside. Very impressive, and once again, oh my god, he's 56 years old. Sting then hits the Scorpion Death Drop, but only gets a 2 when Rollins lazily puts his foot on the rope. Rollins reverses some turnbuckle punches into another turnbuckle powerbomb, and this one really fucks up Sting. He struggles getting back up, uses the ropes to pretty much hold himself up, and falls over when he tries to duck a clothesline. I kind of felt bad for Rollins, who has to stay in character when I'm sure he's just as concerned about Sting, if not more, than we are. Sting reverses a pedigree into a sharpshooter, but Rollins gets the rope break. They repeat the spot pretty much exactly, but Rollins rolls Sting into a schoolboy and gets the pin. It would be really nice to see Sting get a singles win, but this was a pretty awesome match. And while Seth is celebrating, Sheamus comes out and Brogue kicks Rollins. Before he can cash in, Kane returns in his Demon Kane outfit. So Kane gives a chokeslam to Rollins. Sheamus runs in the ring and asks Kane to do it one more time. But instead of chokeslamming Rollins, he chokeslams Sheamus instead. Kane hits a tombstone on Rollins, and we end the show. Pretty entertaining show overall, but here are my 5 final thoughts. 3 championships changed hands tonight, and 2 of them were first-timers and NXT alum. Pretty nice to see. Not sure if something happened backstage, or if this is the signal of a heel turn, but Paige looked like she really couldn't give a shit about Charlotte's win. Ziggler and Rusev, Wyatt and Reigns, Cena and Rollins. Great performers, but they need to evolve or get away from each other immediately. I'm not Cena's biggest fan, but if this means more US Open Challenge matches, then I am all for him winning it again. And finally, oh my god, Sting is 56 years old. Well, that's it for this video, everybody. Thanks for watching. Totally feel free to like the video, maybe leave a comment down below. You know, if you subscribe, you'll be the first to know when new ones come out. It's pretty sweet. And once again, thank you R² Circle and Pro Wrestling Stories. Go check out both. Thanks again for watching. Okay, you can leave now.